follow the creed which is most pleasing to you. Today, as you know, is the Shahadat Day of Mawla Amir Mu'minin Islam. It is a really tragic day for us to lose such a great Imam who was, after the Prophet, there was no one so bad, someone as great as Ali, right? Now look at this thing. Muawiyah Mal'un asked Dirar, Sifli Amir Mu'mineen, Sifli Ali ibn Talib, just try to describe to me who is Amir Mu'mineen. Of course, first Dirar refused because realized that Muawiyah was an opponent, an enemy, but he insisted. Muawiyah insisted, and he was known for insisting. Insisted Dirar that no, you have no choice, but you have to tell me. But because Dirar was close to Imam, he did not want to, if he wanted to do it honestly. So he said, I stand witness that I have seen him on several occasions, not only once, several occasions, when night had spread and he was standing in Mihrab, holding his beard, groaning like a man bitten by a snake and weeping as a grieved man. Imagine this Ali, subhanallah, when he is in the darbar, in the courtyard of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the mihrab, he is groaning like a person bitten by a snake, weeping as a grieved man. We spent the whole night, last night, doing ibadat, many of us, I'm sure. And we also did on the 19th night, and may Allah give us the tawfiq that we repeat also on the 23rd night. But how many of us were able to shed tears as we were talking to Allah and seeking our istighfar for our sins, for our offenses, for our wrongdoings, for our shortcomings in ibadat? How many of us? This is Ali who used to weep as a grieved person. And see how he's talking to dunya. He said, Ya dunya, ilayki anni. Oh dunya, just get away from me. Don't seduce me. Don't try to attract me. He says, Abi ta'arrati am ilayya tashawqti. Why do you present yourself to me? Why are you eager for me? As if, for example, like when somebody who is mu'min and a young girl is trying to seduce him, how would you, for example, drive away? Imam is driving away dunya. He says, no, why do you present yourself as somebody very decorative with all this kind of finery, right? Or why are you eager for me? He says, the Imam says, subhanallah, la hana hinuka. No, you may not get that opportunity. Forget about those kind of timing that you can trap me, you're forgetting. You can trap others, not Ali. You cannot trap Ali. Hayhat, far, far from you. Don't even dream of trapping or tempting Ali. No. Ghurri ghairi. He says, no, try to deceive others. You want to deceive me with your all kind of decoration and finery and wealth and gold, all those things. Ghurri ghairi. La hajat li fika. I don't need you at all. Imam says, no. Kad talabtu salatan la ajra fiha. I've given you talaq, such a kind of talaq for which there is no return. 3 times talaq. Go. I talaq you, I just divorced you. I divorced 3 times. And then why does Imam give talaq to the world? He says, for aishuka kasirun. He says, because your life is so short. Mu'mineen, how long we are living? 60 years, 70, 80. What is that compared to the hereafter, compared to the day of judgment? Kana miqdaru khamsina alfa sana, right? We are told the day of resurrection alone. Forget about thereafter. Quran is telling us the day of resurrection, kana miqdaru khamsina alfa sana. The duration of the day of judgment is 50,000 years. Imagine. So Imam says, that aishuka kasirun, your time is so short. Wa khataruka yasir, your significance is insignificant. Your importance is nothing. Wa khataruka yasir. Amaluka hakir, and all your hopes are just, completely base. Your aspirations, all these are min killati zad. Imam says, just look at my provision, what I have done for the hereafter is so little. Subhanallah, a person like Ali who was given the whole life, serving Rasulullah and then Islam. A person like Ali says, min killati zad. How little is my provision? If that is what Ali says, what about us? Have you ever thought that our provision for the hereafter is enough? Min killati zad. Wa tuli tariq, and how far, so far is the way to hereafter. About the suffer, right? And suffer also, the way is so long, the journey is so far, the way is so long, the first journey is so long. Azim al-mawrid, right? And not when the goal is so hard to reach. Subhanallah, sometimes yesterday or the day before somebody asked a question, how can I detach myself from the world? Look at Ali, subhanallah, right? Look at Ali, see how he's talking about detaching himself from the world. And then somebody said, what about the book of Hadith? This is Najm Balagha. Do you see? So both your question are answered. Look at Najm Balagha. This is just saying number 7. Remember, I told you when you start Najm Balagha, start from section 3. This is section 3, saying number 77. Imam is talking about how did he address the world? Subhanallah. Where is Ali and where are we? Mu'mineen, that is why every time when you say Ya Ali Madad, or for example, you have somebody whose name is Ali, you might have somebody in your family whose name is Ali, or even the compound name. For example, my name is Qasim Ali, right? That compound name also consists Ali. Just wait for a moment that how near we are, to Ali's, sirat. Try to read about him and see that if you can imitate. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that on this day, which is a very special day, wafat of Imam, and we are now on the first day of the last 10 days of Ramadan, may Allah give us the tawfiq that we are able to imitate and follow on the footsteps of Amir Mu'mineen, Ali bin Talib, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. Any questions, any clarifications?
Thank you, Sheikh. If anyone wants to ask a question, you can also speak up, just unmute yourself and feel free, please. While we're waiting, there is 1 or 2 questions here. One is, Assalamu alaikum. The pull of the dunya nowadays seems to entrap so many, especially our youth. How do we strengthen ourselves to an atom's worth of how Imam Ali has not been deceived by the world, especially to help our youth strengthen?
Yeah, of course, as we said the other day, that world really looks attractive to us because of attachment, right? We attach, and one thing I forgot to mention last time, that we get attached to the wealth and real estate and women and spouse and all those things. Nowadays also social media and our phone, right? All those things, we get attached to it. So of course the youths have this kind of challenges, but I can tell you one thing which really helps is listening to inspiring speech. If there's certain speakers which inspire you, look at the lives of, look at Ali Akbar, right? Ali Akbar, such a person. Look at Qasim, subhanAllah, 13 years old, right? When Imam Hussein is asking Qasim, how do you see death? And he says, Ahla min al-asl, subhanAllah. The scholars say that the very fact that Qasim says, Ahla min al-asl, sweeter than honey, itself shows that he was a child, because he gives that example of honey, right? That was something which was dear to them. So here is Qasim, and he goes to the battlefield and says, in Tankiruni, Hassan ibn Ali, if you don't know who I am, then I'm Hassan, I'm the son of Hassan ibn Ali, right? So see, read about those great personalities, and not only Imams and their families, even if you see the companions of Imam, the disciples of Imam, look at them, how dedicated they were, how simple they were, how rich they were. Our scholars, for example, there is a scholar by the name Sharif al-Murtaza. This Nahj Balagha, just now we are reading from Nahj Balagha. This was composed by Sharif al-Radi. His brother was Sharif al-Murtaza. Sharif al-Murtaza was not somebody who was just a scholar. He was a rich person. He had properties and estate in 80 villages. 80 villages. But that village, which produced the most benefit, which brought the most rent, he spent that for the Hausa. He was the first person who allowed even other Muslims, non-Shias, to enroll in his Hausa. And then, not only that, if anybody enrolls in the Hausa, he will give stipends to them. Today, for example, we have the concept of scholarship, but he started this thing. Can you imagine? So he invested in this thing, and then that village or that town which brought the most rent and most profit, he gave back to this. Subhanallah. So read about those great scholars and their sacrifices. Inshallah, that will bring that inspiration for us, that will be less detached to, what the world.
Thank you, Sheikh. There's a few more questions. They're a little bit off topic. So I just want to check in and see if anyone has any other questions they want to ask before we take some of the ones that are off topic. Please feel free to ask. Okay, one question is about Amal night. There's we recite two times Astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh, and another time we recite Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. Why is there a difference between the two? One we recite 70 times, one we recite 100 times, one with Rabbi, one without Rabbi.
Yes, yeah. I even, for example, when I was preparing the book, when I was compiling the book Tahajjud Salat, I realized that also in Namaz Witr, some books say Astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh 70 times, some books say Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. So it could be, for example, typo that people, as they copied over time, that one thing was dropped, nothing. That could be one of the reasons, right? That the scholars might have thought that, no, is it Astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh, Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh? We should do both, since both are mentioned. But if you take the meaning, one is quite personal. Astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh, that means I seek forgiveness from Allah. Astaghfirullah, I seek forgiveness from Allah, wa atubu ilayh, I turn to him repentantly. Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh, I seek forgiveness from my Lord. So it's like getting closer, right? When you address Allah as my Lord. Although we are doing Amal all together, of course, this is a special year that we are in isolation, but otherwise, every time we do Amal in the masajid, in the centers where people are in hundreds, in spite of that, we say, Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. I seek forgiveness from my Lord. That my Lord, Rabbi, that brings that kind of intimate, you are talking to Allah who is your Lord, right? So both have their own what reasons, and both their own flavor of talking to Allah and seeking forgiveness. And that's why perhaps both are there. Now 70 and 100, again, as I said, it must be in the books that we mentioned. So, but one thing you should know, that Astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh is from the common amal. That means we recited all 3 nights. Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh was only for the 19th night. It was not repeated on 21st and 23rd.
Interesting. Very good. Thank you, Sheikh. Another question here is, I think it's a follow-up kind of question from the previous one. We have a question. We have traditions from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam and Imam Reza alayhi salam that we should sort of go with the time in terms of our living style. So how do we balance between not going after the world, but also living according to the time?
Regarding going with the time, this is, first of all, be careful. These people who say, for example, they go by the time, they were not understood. In fact, some scholars have also done research and have tried to find that these hadiths attributed to Imam Ali, for example, saying that raise your children according to your time, is a very common hadith, is actually not said by Imam Ali. It was said by some other scholar, but just attributed to Imam Ali. So in the same way, you should be careful, for example, if you have found a hadith from the 8th Imam or 6th Imam. And that is why one of the things, every time I see a hadith in WhatsApp and there is no reference, I tell people, why do you forward this thing? Don't do that. Insist that you get reference, so that we should not make a mistake. But of course, coming to now question that our times are different. No, keep in mind when it comes to attachment to the world and wealth, there's no difference. Honestly, you'll be surprised there was so much wealth. Once Muslims started conquering the lands, for the time of 4th Imam. In fact, when Muslims started conquering the land to Persia and Rome and all those things, there was so much wealth with Muslims. In spite of that, our imams used to, in fact, lead simple life. The second imam is considered to have a lot of wealth on account of awqaf, all the kind of trust properties he had. But in spite of that, he was so much generous. Remember, we said that twice in his lifetime, or 3 times in his lifetime, he gave everything, what he had, and divided 2 and gave it to people. So attachment to the world is not something to do with the time. Attachment to the world was there at that time. People like Muawiyah and others, they were so much attached to the wealth, right? clearly. When Muawiyah became Khalifa, he was first just a governor. When he became Khalifa, he came to Medina and clearly said, I did not fight so that you say so that you say your prayers and give zakat. He said that you are already giving. No, I did these things so that I have the authority, right? So people had that kind of, if you just look at the life which the caliphs and the governors were leading during those time, it is shocking. It's no less than what you find today, these princes in Saudi, in Gulf countries, the way you find them, that they're doing this thing, the way they're leading those lives, uh, you know, that's the same kind of vestige and these things are there. So it's nothing with the time. Attachment to the world and disattachment is, nobody says that in this day and life, in this day and age, you must be attached to the world. No? Of course, lead a reasonable life, which also Islam says. Don't try to, for example, be a beggar, no. But at the same time, there is no need to be attached to the thing that's such that no, we don't fulfill our duties.
Sheikh. Another question about Amal night. When we recite the istighfar, can we do this on behalf of our marhum parents, or can we just do it and give the sawab to them?
Yeah, you can do istighfar also on their behalf. No, for example, in the Namaz al-Shab, we say al-afwa 300 times, right? Sometimes I feel that no, I say I seek pardon on behalf of my parents. I'm seeking pardons on behalf of all my marhumin. I'm seeking pardon on behalf of all marhumin in my neighborhood, right? So there's nothing wrong in it. Yeah, you can include them, inshallah. Allah will forgive them and also you.
Thank you. Another question. I'm sorry, this one's a little bit off topic, but let's see your thoughts on this one, and then maybe we'll just focus on questions that are a little bit more on topic. This one is about Joshna Kabir. When it was taught by Jibreel to the Holy Prophet, did it include all the 100 reasons for each of the parts at the time it was revealed, or did the Imam sort of reveal these reasons later on?
Yeah, that's a good question, a very good question. In fact, I've always wondered about this thing. And in the original books, I have not found those things. So it seems to me, God knows best, no? I hope that I'm not, but it seems to me that later on, some people have added those kind of reasons. But if you see, just don't go far. Just look at Mafatul Jinan, all right, which is compiled by Sheikh Abbas Kumi, who died in 1940, right? And he has tried to find the original sources. He has not mentioned those reasons. He just gives this 100 parts, without those reasons. So it seems to me that somebody has later on put those kind of things, but God knows best now.
Asante. Other questions? Anyone want to unmute and ask a question?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
My name is Muhammad Abbas. I've been following your lectures since day one. I'm about 12 years old. I had a question, and I'm not sure if it's into fiqh. And I know we're not supposed to be doing off-topic questions, but I've really had this question for a while now. My question is, if I die in my 3rd or 4th year after I become baligh, who would pay my wajib salat that I've missed, my qada? Because I've heard that the eldest son of a father, if a father passes away, the eldest son has to pay his qada. So who would pay my qada?
Subhanallah. Muhammad Abbas, first of all, we are proud of you that you've been attending the lectures from day one. And also today you're taking the trouble to ask the question. First of all, I really hope the fact that you have been attending these lectures regularly, I don't even dream that you'll make your namaz qaza. I don't think so you'll do that, no, inshallah. So the only way you will make your namaz qaza is maybe by mistake or something you overlooked. So don't worry about that now. Of course, if something like that happens, God forbid, inshallah, that would never happen. But if something like that happens, then maybe your parent or your brother or your mother knows, for example, that this namaz was missed out of this boy after became baligh. So they will just either pray on your behalf or they will or ask somebody to pray on behalf and then pay him. It's known as namaz ijara. That means there are people, there are scholars who will pray on your behalf and then they will charge for that. But inshallah, I'm confident that that will not happen with you, inshallah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the nice question. We're a little bit over time, but there's one. It's a follow-up question again about the youth. It's on that same theme about how do we help them when they're lacking zeal, and there might be outside influences from friends and other things. Can you give any advice for the youth in general on how to stay on, I guess, in the right path and to increase the zeal they have for being faithful?
Yeah, I think the question itself has answered. It's very important for our youths to have the good friends. Friendship can really matter. No, good friends can make difference in the life, and bad friends can completely take you off. When I was in the house, my teacher, one of the teacher who used to give lecture, used to come and discuss, give lectures on friendship and friends and friendship. And all those lectures have been transcribed in a book known as As-Sadaqa al-Asdiqa. That means friendship and friends. It is almost 400 pages in Arabic, almost 300, 400 pages. So if you were to translate it, would be easily 500, 600 pages. So you can imagine how much important friendship is in Islam, that a scholar can give lectures which can, fill a book of 500 pages. So yes, the youths of the community, especially this day and age, it's very important that to make sure that you're good friends. The moment you find a friend is misleading you or doing things which are not appropriate, easily just try to distance from that person, and try to find other friends. It's very important. Even the parents, it's very important that they should invite the friends of the children at home for sleepover, or for example, for meal. And that way, when the children are at home, the children bring their friends for meal or for sleepover, the parents should watch that what kind of friends are their akhlaq, their behavior, their greed, and the way they talk and all those things is very important. So yes, friends is one of the things that will keep if you have good friends, you have the zeal. But besides that, as we said earlier, the zeal of Islam, the zeal of being a good Muslim will come, mashallah, because how fortunate we are, because we are the followers of Ahlul Bayt. So we've got beautiful examples, right? I remember my daughter when she was earlier, we did not have Shia school. The Shia Muslim schools in North America is a new concept. When my children were growing, at that time, there were only Sunni schools, right? And they were to go to the Sunni schools, and those Sunni schools, many of them were Wahhabi controlled. So my daughter used to say how unfortunate they are. They only have 2 holidays, just 2, Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha. We have, mashallah, 14 kushalis, 14 masumin. Then we got Eid al-Gadid, we got Eid al-Mubahila, Eid al-Zahra, right? So many occasions we have whereby we get together, meet our fellow Shia members, and also remember try to learn about Imams, right? So we are fortunate to have those great exemplary models, right, whom we can follow and bring about that zeal.
Thank you. No question, but a few comments have come in just saying thank you so much for these talks. People are benefiting in all the different things you're covering, and the Ramzan tips. We're getting a lot of good feedback and comments. So Sheikh, thank you for that. Just some comments from the listeners that I wanted to share.
Inshallah, see you again tomorrow. I was pleased to see that although we started 4:30, but exactly at 4:30, more than 60 people were already logged in, which is very good. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that may Allah accept the efforts. Inshallah, see you tomorrow.
Hassan, thank you. Inshallah, see you all tomorrow morning. Good Hafiz.